Good evening. My name is Latanya Reeves, and I'm the chair of the Community Commission on Police Oversight. Before we begin, I want to offer a friendly reminder to all members, staff, and the public that these meetings are broadcast live to enable greater public participation. These broadcasts include real-time captioning as a further method to increase the accessibility of our proceedings to the community. Therefore, all speakers need to be mindful of the rate of their speech so that our captioners can fully capture and transcribe all comments for the broadcast. We ask all speakers to moderate the speed and clarity of their comments. At this time, I'm going to call to order this regular meeting for Monday, December 15th, and ask the clerk to call the roll.
Commissioner McElhenney.
Present.
Shanfield.
Present.
Stewart.
Present.
Kennedy.
Present.
Bartz.
Present.
Inderly is absent. Williams Johnson is absent. Smith.
Present.
Vice Chair Olson.
Present.
And Chair Reeves.
Present.
There are 8 members present.
Thank you. Let the record reflect that we have a quorum. Commissioners, the agenda for this evening's meeting is before us. I'm not aware of any proposed amendments to the agenda, so let me ask if there are any amendments to the agenda from commissioners. Seeing none, may I have a motion to adopt the agenda as presented?
Smith so moves.
All right, is there a second? Second. All right, is there a motion and a second? The clerk will call the roll on the motion to adopt the agenda.
Commissioner McElhenney.
Aye.
Shanfield.
Aye.
Stewart.
Aye.
Kennedy.
Aye.
Bartz.
Aye.
Smith.
Aye.
Vice Chair Olson.
Aye.
And Chair Reeves.
Aye.
There are 8 ayes.
All right, the ayes have it, and the agenda is adopted. Thank you. Next, we have one set of minutes to accept from our November 18th regular meeting. May I have a motion and second to accept these minutes?
So moved.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. We have a proper motion. Please call the roll.
Commissioner McElhenney.
Abstain?
Shanfield.
Aye.
Stewart.
Aye.
Kennedy.
Aye.
Bartz.
Aye.
Smith.
Aye.
Vice Chair Olson.
Aye.
And Chair Reeves.
Aye.
There are 7 ayes and 1 abstention.
All right, the ayes have it, and the minutes have been accepted. Next, in the order of public comments, we'll open the floor to any comments from the public, giving each speaker 2 minutes to address the commission. We'll be taking speakers in the order they registered. If you wish to address the commission tonight and haven't already done so, you may register with the clerks at the side of the dais. If any speaker has printed materials, please give those to the city clerk. We have also invited folks to submit written comments using the forms available from the city clerk to be included in the public record as an alternative to speaking at tonight's comment session. Each speaker will be given 2 minutes to address the commission tonight. We have a timer to assist speakers in monitoring their use of time. With that, I'll open the public comment period. Our first speaker tonight is Dave Bicking.
Hello, thanks for coming out tonight, though doesn't look great for enthusiasm when you just got your quorum of 8 at 6:17. So, but anyhow, I'm glad you have item 10 on the agenda, the police chief reappointment process, because that still needs discussing. I was on the CRA back in 2008, 2009, and the data practice laws in that regard, I don't believe have changed since then, because I keep an eye on those. And in any case, we discussed the appointment of the chief in committee and in the full meeting, and wrote up a report that was available to the public. And we did that as a commission, the CRA. And I believe strongly that you should be doing your a reappointment process for the chief in public not each one of you going separately to say privately what you think. So I hope in that discussion you will bring that up. I just wanted to mention that members of our group have filed a complaint back in 2023, and we have still not heard what's happened to that complaint, and that gives a sense of how long it takes for some of these complaints. It would be interesting to know how many other complaints there are from 2023. Thank you.
Thank you. Seeing no further speakers on the list, we've completed all public comments and will close the public comment period. The next order of business is reports. We'll begin with the report from the Office of Police Conduct Review. I will ask Director Fujisawa to come up and speak, and I've allocated 15 minutes for this report. Welcome.
Good evening. My name is Russell Fujisawa. I'm the Associate Director of the Office of Police Conduct Review. As usual, we'll work through our agenda, just providing some updates on our intake work and our administrative investigations, as well as our review panel numbers and trends over the course of the year. As you know, the OPCR handles complaints of misconduct by the Minneapolis Police Department, and our jurisdiction is complaints that originate with community members. We continue to work through, as we move away from the backlog of investigations, we continue to work through the complaints and the cases that we get. And under the settlement agreement and the provisions of the consent decree, continuing to work towards a place where we can look at and consider compliance with those timelines, with the timeliness of our investigations and our complaint receipt, just so we can continue to provide that more efficient, more transparent, and accountable investigation practice. I just have this up because I know we sort of tease this every couple months, but we did have a case investigator start on the 1st of December, and we have another one that is sort of falling victim to the holidays. They have cleared background, have signed an offer, but because of the holidays, the next onboarding opportunity is going to be January 12th. But we're very excited, and with that addition, OPCR will be fully staffed. It's the first time since I've been here, and I think going back long before I started. Intake, we reviewed this previously, but this is the, in addition to the difference in jurisdiction of our complaints, I always like to reiterate how different our intake and our complaint receipt looks compared to internal affairs. Again, because sworn members and city employees are much more familiar with the policies and procedures of the department. So when an allegation comes in, it is usually very specific. It is tied to a subsection. There is really not a ton of gray area. I don't want to say there's none. I don't want to speak for internal affairs, but it is a much clearer allegation versus OPCR. We often get complaints just about the negative nature of an interaction with an officer, and it's our job through the course of that intake and investigation, and it's to determine that individual or set of policies that are alleged to have been violated. So this requires an interview with the complainant, really an in-depth look at available evidence, including BWC, body-worn camera, MVR, any vehicle data, anything that we have available within those first 30 days to make an appropriate and thorough determination on the appropriate routing of that case. So that is a lot of work to do in the first 30 days, coordinating an interview, really teasing apart what is being alleged, and really assessing that conduct in those first 30 days. And I say that because the average length of our investigation on the intake side really continues to hover around 20 to 22 days. This past month, it was 21 days. So again, I want to remind you that 30 days is the metric for intake from receipt of complaint to case disposition in intake. So we are ahead of that timeline, but as always, the volume of complaints is our biggest barrier. You can see that the average length of a case in the intake queue is about 75 days. And that complaint number out of compliance continues to hover right around 100. The addition of our 2 staff members over the course of this month into next is really going to help start to chip away at this number. And I really hope to start seeing that number, obviously below 100 and then continue to trend downwards. And that's all in the context of this. So we continue to see this upward trajectory of total contacts by our office. Complaints continues to remain steady around, on average, 2 to 3 days, or 2 to 3 complaints per day over the course of a month. But our inquiries are really continuing on a significant upward trajectory. And I can say it is complaints from other jurisdictions. It is things that are not necessarily relevant to police misconduct. I will say we have a lot of instances, anecdotally, a lot of instances of mental health. And so we get a high volume of complaints from a small number of people. And the challenge right under the settlement agreement, under the consent decree, and just doing our due diligence is combing through these comments, these inquiries, these contacts to make sure that there isn't an explicit reference or even an implicit reference to MPD misconduct that we may overlook and may not investigate. As previously requested, here is sort of the breakdown by incident date of complaints that we received over the past month. Again, a majority, I think it's somewhere around 70%, sit within the month of November of 2025. We do have some historical cases or just some unknown dates. So that trend continues to have a majority of the complaints sit in the month that we are reporting out on. This is something that I wanted to put together for this past month's complaints, and this is, I think we have to take this with a grain of salt, right? Because this is on the face value, the categorization of a complaint based on the face value of the complaint. So I say that because throughout the course of those 21, potentially 30 days of our intake investigation, the allegations and sort of the heart of the complaint and the case can be completely different from what we receive on the face value of the complaint. So this sort of speaks to, one, the nature of complaints that we receive, and as I think we'll try to figure out the best way to communicate the data without any violation of MGDPA in terms of showing the difference between complaint received and sort of the outcome. But I think it's helpful to see sort of the nature of complaints that we receive over the course of a month. So we'll continue to provide this and try to iterate to see what's the most effective way to communicate this information and sort of how that changes over the course of those 30 days of intake. Administrative investigations, obviously this is cases where we do identify police misconduct according to the PNP, and this goes on for a much further, deeper investigatory look, interviewing officers, sworn witnesses, and sworn focus officers, with the culmination of the ISR that ends up sitting with review panels. The backlog work post-investigation continues to progress in terms of moving towards closure. Again, closure is different than complete because this is OPCR investigative work that has gone through to the chief. Either a decision is to be made or it has been made, but there is grievance and arbitration. So we rely on internal affairs to communicate any discipline that is imposed and for that to be reported out publicly prior to us deeming investigation closed and complete. There is still, as I mentioned last month, there is still one case that worked its way back into assigned from the backlog. I personally have filed the training records request that is needed to tie that one out. So I'm myself am doing some of the work to shepherd that through. So it continues to hang out there, but we are making progress finalizing those to the best of our ability within OPCR. The bright spot here is that we continue to assign new cases out that are both current compliant and current non-compliant. So we want to prevent another administrative backlog again. So staffing has helped, training has helped, setting up and getting approval in compliance on our standard operating procedures so that there is a standard process of work, standard process of investigation. All of that has led to us to be able to have a solid cadence of case assignments, have really a good churn of our investigations through our office. Our current compliant bucket is going to be smaller just because we are still working through some older cases, but we continue to assign those out as well because we want to make sure that we're giving ourselves a fighting chance on the front end of keeping some cases within compliance while we try to bring those oldest cases to some type of resolution quickly. I think everybody is familiar with the review panels and the function it serves. Again, that change to 3 members on the review panel has really helped expedite the work of the review panel and scheduling within OPCR. Again, you could take a closer look at this, but just the trajectory over the course of the year is very impressive, and I credit our Policy and Research Unit Coordinator, Lillian DeJong, and her team for putting in place all the appropriate processes, really coordinating these review panels for both IA and OPCR cases over the course of the last year. And I think we are approaching, we're approaching almost 5 times the number of cases that we reviewed in 2024 throughout the course of 2025 so far. We're going to try to eke in a few more. But this is really, again, a testament to the work and the coordination and all of the time that commissioners have committed to this work. So very much appreciative of that. But the work continues, right? We know that Internal Affairs has many cases in supervisory review. OPCR still has cases in supervisory review. And obviously we have cases that are in investigation right now. So this will be a steady stream throughout 2026 as well. Before I take any questions, I just also wanted to remind, I know an email went out earlier about the 360 survey about civil rights and its engagement and support of general operations in the department, but also of commissions. And it's not just the CCPO. I know it's MCCR as well as the Workplace Advisory Committee. So we're asking just to see if there are opportunities, if there's feedback, if there's stuff that needs to just be improved. So we just ask that everybody respond to that before the end of the week. So with that, I can take any questions.
Thank you, Director Fujisawa. Can you just say on the slide that has the types of calls, what is HRIU?
That is Human Resources Investigative Unit. Sorry,
This is what I thought.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Appreciate
Yep.
it. Any other questions? Okay. Seeing no questions, thank you very much.
Thank you.
I direct the clerk to receive and file that report.
Actually,
Next.
I'm sorry.
Oh,
I'm sorry. I have a quick question.
Commissioner Stewart.
On the complaints received, the category complaint slide, is that something that's going to be open to the public at some point, or just to our commissioners? Yeah.
This is one you're talking about. I mean, it was published with the material, so this is out there. But again, making that important distinction that this is at face value of the complaint that we received. So this is prior to the investigation. This is prior to a final routing decision on this.
Got you. So when people ask what are your trending complaints, is this something we can reference them to?
Yeah, in terms of the complaints that and again, with carrying those caveats, and we're working to go back in time and working to do this moving forward, but also trying to tell the full story of what happens on the back end. So I think again, we're going to try to figure out what the best way to communicate this is, but probably providing a percentage of at least within a degree of certainty the number of, or the percentage of complaints that are, retain the same allegation on the front end and after disposition. I think that's probably the closest we can get to disseminating meaningful information without, infringing on MGDPA requirements.
Got you, thank you.
Yep.
All right. Commissioner Shanfield.
Thank you, Director Fujisawa. Thank you, Chair. Curious about, I don't mean to put you on the spot, so welcome longer conversation at some other point, but I'm curious, every month you come and you present this very, very useful information. Do you have any guidance for us as we're planning for 2026, sort of what you would like to see us do with some of the information that you provide? I know you work really hard at it.
I think I would ask, particularly, from review panel, because there is, you do get to see specific case information. You get to see some of the trends that are, that paint a fuller picture than what we're seeing here, what we can present publicly. I think my ask would be to really take that information sort of on the aggregate of what you're seeing, obviously in context of when the incident date is, in the context of the policies being reworked by the department, of the training that's improving, of even the social and political landscape, and really try to, with the PPRR and the community engagement committees, I think to the extent you're able to, use that information to highlight, where people should be focusing in terms of their efforts, their interest. If there is some public momentum that is needed in certain spaces, or just to reaffirm the good work that the department is doing in implementing reforms and new policies and new trainings. I know many commissioners will attend some of the trainings at the academy. So, you'll be able to paint a much fuller picture than what we can do here legally and publicly. So I would just ask that use that opportunity and that, that access to do, to be that representative voice of the communities that you are representatives of.
All right, thank you. Clerk, please file that report. Next up is the monthly report from the Police Department's Internal Affairs Division. IA is unable to attend due to a matter they had to attend to. If there are any questions, we can follow up with staff. So next up is the monthly report from the Police Department's Implementation Unit. Lieutenant Robinson is here to present today, and I've allocated 10 minutes for this report.
Good evening. I'm Lieutenant Bryce Robinson. Today we're going to talk about the previous requests, some key updates, and our next steps. Some of the previous requests the CCPO had for us, it was how they could get more involved with implementation. One is keep providing that feedback on policies. We're also looking at scheduling you guys some dates at the academy where you guys can attend and watch training. And certainly after that, you can submit kind of what your thoughts are on the training. We're also looking at getting you guys into some other trainings and looking at those opportunities. Another way you guys can get involved is by doing ride-alongs. I know on the previous month we had an officer's email listed. I think that email was wrong, but he's no longer in our unit. He was transferred out. So we do have the numbers of the precincts listed on the slide. You can reach out to the desk and ask to speak to the supervisor, and they can work to schedule you a ride-along. If you call and for some reason you can't get hold of anybody, at the end of the presentation here, there's an email and you can reach out and we will work on getting you guys scheduled. I know Commissioner Bartz, I believe you reached out. I've already working on getting you a ride-along in the 4th Precinct, so hopefully I can get that scheduled here for you. We're also working on creating a Citizens Academy. It's very new, very much in the works, but it's something you guys can attend, and also getting community members out with officers and experiencing our training, what we go through, and learning more about implementation. Some key updates here. We recently had some turnover in our community engagement unit. We have currently one community engagement manager, one community specialist who's bilingual, and we're looking to have a community engagement project lead start here, hopefully in the early 2026. Some of the things that we're working on is creating an implementation newsletter that's external, and just giving a more transparent look at what happens in implementation, all the things that we're doing, because it's not always covered in these presentations. We're also looking at creating a MPD community policing plan, working to build trust with the community and collaborate to further our public safety goals. Another project that we're working on is a community engagement survey. About a year ago, we had our policies posted for engaging with minors. One of the things that I think that was missing was getting feedback from those that are actually impacted by those policies, the youth. So we've created a survey to reach out to a wide range of different people under age of 18 and seeking their feedback and their perceptions on police and how we can change policies and better their experience when they do have contacts with the police. Officer wellness and support. We're scheduling our snowshoe shuffle in 2026. We had our first one in 2025. I'm not sure if you guys attended, but it's a great event. It's a race. You can rent some snowshoes, go out there, and I look at it as a community event as well as an officer wellness event. It's getting officers outside with community members and doing something together other than, giving tickets or responding to calls and getting to know the community. Some recent policies that were approved, members' health and wellness, members' medical information, injury and incident response, and the peer support team policy. Some policy updates here. Use of force was approved by LIFA. Crisis intervention, MVVG, which is mission, vision, values, and goals. Non-discriminatory and procedural justice, emergency medical response, body-worn camera, officer wellness, and peer support. There's a QR code there. If you scan it for community members and CCPO members that aren't on the subscriber list, which I believe you guys all are, you can scan that and it'll take you to our implementation page, and you can sign up for a subscriber. Basically, you put your email in, and any time that we release a new policy for feedback, it sends an email to you so that you know what's out for feedback. Typically, we do anywhere from 45 days to 30 days for feedback. Our policies, though, are always available for feedback, but we're actively looking on the ones that we reach out to people about. Training updates. One of the things that I also want to touch on too before we move on is the immigration policy. I know you guys got a little extra time to look at the policies. Are really important to the community and the chief, and it's really appreciated. It really helped in developing that policy. Just as kind of an example of the flow of how things work with the training, we develop a policy. And then once that's approved, it goes into training and development. And then we actually have to schedule those policies and get the entire department scheduled. So at the end there, it shows that use of force, for example, it's a 3-day training. And so that the last day that officers can actually get trained in that is 12/17. And by that day, every officer should be trained in use of force. And that's something that they'll actually have to do and be held accountable for. Some of our current goals, enhancing data capabilities to increase transparency and meet goals of the department. One of those things is the Policy Hub, which should come out early 2026. We've talked about it before here, I believe. It's basically making it a lot easier to search MPD's policies, find what's available. It's will be a great tool for officers too, because right now it's just there's a PDF and you have to use the search function to find policies. So this way it'll make it a lot easier for officers to use that, and also the public. Eventually there's going to be a spot in there too, so the public can actually provide feedback through that as well on MPD policies. Some of the what we're working on towards getting approved by ALIFA is stops, searches, citations, and arrest, and the quarterly review panel. We're also working with ALIFA to finish the training curriculum for the body-worn camera and the 2026 annual training plan and the CIT refresher. And that email at the end is the one if you can't get a hold of somebody at the desk, feel free to email that, and I'll try and get you scheduled right along. Does anybody have any questions?
Thank you. Any questions from commissioners? Commissioner Bartz.
Thank you, Lieutenant, for your efforts on the ride-along and access to trainings. I just have a question on kind of what's going on behind the scenes in terms of setting up access to trainings. Are you thinking kind of an open door policy where commissioners may be able to drop in and sit in the back of the class to observe training, or is it, are you thinking more of a scheduling specific trainings to invite us to attend? My thoughts on open access is just that it would allow us to, particularly those of us on the policy committee, to kind of track, from policy to development into curriculum development and into the actual training. And it would be nice if, we were able to do that on a fairly open basis. I'm not sure if that's been broached with the training department or, how those discussions are going, but anything you can tell us on that would be appreciated.
Yeah, right now I know it's just scheduling certain dates for you guys to attend. I'm not sure if the city attorney has any thoughts on it.
Yeah, so right now it's scheduling. There's a lot of reasons for that, among them being there's only so many spaces in the room. We have a lot of other people who have to attend trainings for mandatory reasons like MDHR and ALIFA and IA and OPCR. So right now it's very much a logistical thing, but that is on the table to be looked into. We're just not there yet.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay. Any other questions? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Ask the clerk to receive and file that report. The next report is from our Police Policy Research and Recommendations Committee. That report will be given by the committee chair, Commissioner Shanfield, and there are 5 minutes allocated.
Wonderful. Thank you, Chair. Good evening, everyone. We at the PPRR, Police Policy Research and Recommendations Committee, like to look at the facts. We like data. We're kind of nerdy. And so to inform our policy, our planning work for 2026, we asked OPCR a month ago for a year-end report about the review panels. And we were curious about, figuring out which data points would best tell us sort of what's happening on the panels. Is it a good use of our time? How is it useful? How can we get better at this? So momentarily, I guess in a few moments, we'll hear from Melinda, Ms. Jung, about the details of that. But I will just say that we really enjoyed and really grateful for the hard work that went into that. I know it was not an easy thing to pull data for because it's the first report of its kind, first version that I know of any data about the panels. And it starts to paint a picture of how the civilian panel experiment, if we call it that, or civilian panels, are going. A lot of us spend a lot of time on review panels, and so we're eager to understand their utility. And because we serve on individual panels and therefore cannot discuss those cases with other panelists, to your point, Director Fujisawa, we lack a bit of a sense of how the panels are functioning across the board. So this report gives us a clear picture of the types of recommendations that are being made by each of the panels, and the data is pretty fascinating. We also know that what's happening on the panels is relevant to meeting the terms of the settlement agreement, of course. It may indicate places for potential policy revisions, and or draw attention to topics where additional training could be beneficial. So that is particular reasons that we're looking into this further. We started asking ourselves at our last meeting, as we looked at the data, how we might use this information within the scope of our authority. So for example, for policy review, what might we learn from the trends about which policies show up repeatedly in allegations? Or what about policies that don't show up at all? Are there particular policies that we should then note and consider reviewing for 2026? What about the policies that have, or like, do some policies have high rates of no merit findings on panels? You know, is there any similarities or trends? Could that help us refine the panel process itself better? Clearly, we have lots of questions and are beginning to dig further into this. So we had our first look at it 2 weeks ago, and we'll look again this afternoon or this evening, and then again at our next meeting, we'll start to move into action and what we're going to do with the information. I'll invite everyone, as we listen to Ms. Zhang, to speak, kind of thinking about how we might refine the data further. What else are we wondering about? How we might be able to, slice and dice it differently to give us a different story. For example, one thing the PPRR thought would be interesting would be to parse out the data by OPCR cases versus IA cases. That would be interesting to us to look at some trends and patterns there. We're just wondering what else we might want to track in the future. Maybe there's some other data that we'd like to be able to pull together and give us a fuller picture. And of course, all of this is intending to improve transparency around discipline and policy violation. So I'll invite everyone, the public included, just to start considering with us what issues or challenges does the data raise, and how might we use that to inform our recommendations and decision-making. We are also eager to read the forthcoming ALIFA report. That will give us some more guidance as well as we plan for 2026. And there was one other piece of business on the agenda. There's a link to a list of the policies that we've reviewed in 2025. And I just wanted to take a moment to celebrate all of the folks on the PPRR. Thank you for your hard work. We've done a lot of work in between the meetings. We've done a lot of hard work. We use our brains a lot. And so I'm really grateful for all the time and effort people have put in, and really wanted to celebrate the progress we're making. And thank you to the city attorney and to Lieutenant Robinson for all of their ongoing support as well.
All right, thank you very much. Are there any questions from commissioners? Okay, seeing none, I'll ask the clerk to receive and file that report. Finally, we have a report from the Community Engagement Committee from the Chair, Commissioner Smith, and we've allocated 15 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I'll turn to our Vice Chair, Commissioner Stewart, in a moment. Our work on the Community Engagement Committee has focused on supporting the staff in the development of a communications toolkit so that every member of the commission can go to neighborhood organizations or other community organizations that they would like to share the work of the CCPO, and also use that as a springboard to collect more information and feedback about our work. So we will keep sharing that out so that you can easily look within the ward you represent, identify organizations that you can reach out and contact and get on their calendar. I think our recommendations came with an invitation to try to get to at least one or two of those organization meetings in a month. The more, the better. Our Community Engagement Committee also has discussed and recommended the resolution that's later on our agenda about the disciplinary review process. What we can learn from not only the information that we're going to be receiving today, but the notion of a research effort or a survey of all the panel members, both sworn and civilian, so we can collect information. And the committee's engagement in helping that resolution come forward has been very beneficial. We are now in discussions with Commissioner Stewart's leadership on having a community showing of the documentary Paradox: Echoes of Reform that has aired on Twin Cities Public Television. We're hoping for that to take place early in the first quarter of next year, and the filmmakers have offered to be a part of that presentation. I think at our last meeting, we noted a desire to clarify membership on our committee. And having polled our members and heard back, we have 4 commissioners who are prepared to serve on the Community Engagement Committee going forward. Commissioner McElhenney, Commissioner Newman, who is on medical leave now, but hopefully will be back with us in the first of the year, Commissioner Stewart, and myself. We had not heard from any of the other members to confirm their interests, so I think this is who we have for now. I would note that Commissioner Zyla had been an engaged member of our committee, but he has since resigned. Finally, we'd not only like the full commission's blessing of our committee membership, but also according to our bylaws, the full commission selects the chair and vice chair. And I'm pleased to report that Commissioner Stewart and I have had a great discussion about changing our leadership and bringing some new energy to our community engagement efforts, and she has agreed, I believe, to serve as the chair, and I'm happy to serve as vice chair unless someone else really badly wants to do it.
All right.
If Commissioner Stewart, anything else to add?
No.
Madam Chair, I would move that the commission elect Commissioner Stewart as the chair of the Community Engagement Committee and myself as the vice chair, and that the members be confirmed as McElhenney, Newman, Stewart, and Smith.
So I think we'll do them separately, just to make sure the
Fine.
minutes are clear. And so Commissioner McElhenney, Stewart, Smith, and Newman are the ones that will be elected to serve on the commission. Commissioner Smith, would you like to make that motion separately for the record, please?
Yes, Madam Chair, I would move that Commissioners McElhenney, Newman, Stewart, and Smith be the Community Engagement Committee.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right. Any further discussion? All right, clerk, please call the roll on the members of the Community Engagement Committee.
Commissioner McElhenney.
Aye.
Shanfield.
Aye.
Baker. Or wait, sorry, Stewart.
Aye.
Kennedy.
Aye.
Bartz.
Aye.
Smith.
Aye.
Vice Chair Olson.
Aye.
And Chair Reeves.
Yes.
There are 8 ayes.
Thank you very much. And this next motion, Commissioner Smith, for the chair.
Madam Chair, I would move that Commissioner Stewart serve as the chair of the Community Engagement Committee and myself as vice chair.
So we'll do you as separately, just for purposes
Oh.
of the record.
Separate it even further.
Yep.
Just
Robert's
the
rules.
chair.
All right, is there a second for the chair? Second. All right, I heard a motion in a second. Any discussion? All right, clerk, please call the roll on the nomination for chair.
Commissioner McElhenney.
Aye.
Shanfield.
Aye.
Stewart.
Aye.
Kennedy.
Aye.
Bartz.
Aye.
Smith.
Aye.
Vice Chair Olson.
Aye.
And Chair Reeves.
Yes.
There are 8 ayes.
All right, motion passes. Thank you. Commissioner Smith.
Madam Chair, I would move that myself serve as vice chair of the Community Engagement Committee.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
All right, any further discussion? All right, clerk, please call the roll on the vice chair.
Commissioner McElhenney.
Aye.
Shanfield.
Aye.
Stewart.
Aye.
Kennedy.
Aye.
Bartz.
Aye.
Smith.
Aye.
Vice Chair Olson.
Aye.
And Chair Reeves.
Yes.
There are 8 ayes.
All right, thank you very much. We have a slate for the Community Engagement Committee. I look forward to hearing the work. Next up is the police chief reappointment process given by Commissioner Barnett. Welcome, Commissioner. We have allocated 15 minutes for this discussion.
Good afternoon, Chair and other commission members. I'm Todd Barnett, the Commissioner of Community Safety for the City of Minneapolis. I will not take 15 minutes. I can be shorter than 15 minutes and will be open to any questions that you have because the process is pretty straightforward for the chief of police. Similar to all of the mayor's appointees under the charter, in those new created departments like the Office of Community Safety at the end of the mayor's term, which would be December 31st, although we know that Mayor Fryer will be sworn in again in January. What happens is that for those appointees, we're carried over to 2026. So if the best way to explain it is that the mayor doesn't have to automatically put us up for reappointment, but the mayor has 120 days to formally reappoint us or make that nomination for reappointment. From there, there's 90 days to confirmation. And so once the mayor is sworn in, I believe January 5th, he has 120 days to bring forward each of us to nominate us for reappointment. Once we're reappointed, once the nomination goes forward, there's 90 days for confirmation hearing to take place and to be confirmed. However, the chief is a little different. He still has the 120 days, same as everyone else, but it's only 30 days to be confirmed. And so that's where his reappointment process is different. So I stand to answer any other questions that you might have.
Any questions from commissioners? Commissioner Shanfield.
Sure. Thank you so much, Chair. Thank you, Commissioner
Yep.
Barnett. Just curious about, we are providing you some input in the process.
Yep.
Curious how you'll plan to use that.
Sure. Through the chair, I'm assuming that the question is how would I use the information received for the nomination process? So for those that might be viewing, and might not be familiar with what's taking place, is that Chief O'Hara is up for an annual performance review. As part of that process, a survey has been sent out to all the members of this committee. We've received that survey feedback. Also, I've offered to meet with each member of this committee separately to get any additional feedback. I'm in the process of receiving that. I've said this before here, and I think the chief of police is different than any other department head in the city of Minneapolis, that there is public feedback constantly. There's what I would say unsolicited feedback, meaning that I didn't, as opposed to what I have been working with this committee, the public will email me directly or email the office directly. So I believe that there is a continuous feedback, especially when there is a bit of media attention. I get a lot of feedback from community members on those things. There is no written policy or anything written in the charter that I know of that mandates me to, at a certain point, to give that feedback to the mayor for his nomination decision. And I only say that because I don't want people to believe that somehow there's some formal process for that. The mayor, I'm sure will, when the time is right, will ask for feedback. And if it's around performance of Chief O'Hara, I believe that information would be confidential, and I would give the mayor that feedback. If there were questions about any themes from the surveys that I've received or the meetings that I received, I would definitely give that to the mayor. I think that where we are in the performance evaluation, working with this committee, I believe that all of the information that I will receive from this committee will be completed. And this is going by my memory. I don't think I have any other interviews with any member of this commission beyond the second week of January. I don't believe that there will be any formal nominations before that time. So I'm sure I'll have all of the feedback if I was asked to provide that. But the mayor would definitely have any written documents related to Chief O'Hara's performance. I mean, he will review that written information. So I believe in some form or some way, either verbally or writtenly, he'll have it. I know that's a long way to answer it, but I want to make sure I explain sort of what the thought process is. So,
Okay.
yep.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay. Thank you very much,
All right.
Commissioner.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
We'll ask the clerk to receive and file that report. I will ask Ms. Linda Jean to come up and give us the review panel recommendation report, and we've allocated 20 minutes. Welcome, Ms. Jean.
Hello, party people. All right. I'm excited to bring this report to the full body, and I want to thank you for your patience as we work to complete this report. You know, in addition to the analysis and writing, it does take months to create this database, to enter in the data manually, and then to also, like, most importantly, do a quality control of the data itself. The policy and research team is excited to bring, additional reports like this to the body in the future. Okay. Before I dive into the numbers, going to provide a little bit of background around the review panel process, which you are all familiar with. As IA and OPCR complete the administrative investigatory work that they do, those cases then come to a review panel. The review panel consists of 3 members, a police officer of lieutenant rank or higher, and then 2 civilians from the CCPO, and then through the end of this year, also members of the Minneapolis Civil Rights Commission as well. The review panel makes recommendations of merit and discipline to the police chief. These recommendations do not reflect the final discipline imposed, and I just want to stress that these are the recommendations coming out of the review panel, not the actual discipline imposed. And then this analysis covers the recommendations from January of 2024 through September of this year. The recommendations fall into 4 broad categories. The first is no merit, so the alleged misconduct is not supported by a preponderance of evidence, and a preponderance is 50% in a feather, so anything over 50. And then merit A means that there is merit to the allegation. However, the response is not discipline, it is non-disciplinary corrective action, such as additional training or performance improvement plan. And then we have merit B through E, which means that there is merit to the allegation, and the recommendation is discipline. And that discipline can range from a letter of reprimand to suspension, demotion, or termination. And then last, we have a remand, and that is when an allegation is returned to the investigative entity for further investigation. All right, so the report is primarily descriptive and not analytical. The purpose is to provide the CCPO with an overview of the review panel outcomes, and this will help support, your decision-making and perhaps influence any bodies of work. We see that about 45% of the overall allegations were recommended to not have merit, and then about 15% of the allegations to be recommended a merit A, so there's merit to the allegation but no discipline imposed, and then about 30-ish% to have merit, or to have merit and discipline imposed, so that would be merit B through D. When we disaggregate the data by division, so we have IA, Internal Affairs, and OPCR, we do see some trends emerge. So we see that IA does have a higher proportion of merit findings. Merit findings would be merit A through D, so it'd be the blue bar and then the green bars combined. And then, in contrast, OPCR has a higher proportion of no discipline recommendations. So that would be the blue bar, merit A, and then also the orange bars, no merit. Further analysis needs to be done, but through this initial review, I suspect that these patterns have emerged because the allegations coming from IA are more technical and procedural in nature. IA also gets their complaints submitted after a committee review, so after it's been reviewed by FIT or Pursuit. And so my suspicions are that because the conduct has already been formally reviewed by a committee, they then submit a complaint to IA, which is why we see a higher proportion of discipline and merit finding. Next, we have the recommendations broken out by policy chapter and section. So the allegations are spread across 25 chapters, with 4 chapters accounting for the largest concentration. We have Chapter 5100, Code of Conduct, with 88 allegations, 4200, Equipment and Supplies, with 37 allegations, 5300, Use of Force, with 35 allegations, and then 7400, Vehicle Operations, with 28 allegations then. So similar to the previous chart, what we have here are the high volume allegation chapters and then the breakdown of their overall recommendations. I would encourage you to read the full report and familiarize yourself with the appendix. The appendix includes a breakdown by section, so even further than this is just an overview. And so what I want to do is draw your attention to the first bar, which is the overall recommendation, so it's the entire data set, and then the third bar, which is 5300, Use of Force. We see that although they have similar findings of merit, just about the same, it's sitting a little bit above 50%. We see that there's a much higher proportion of merit B through D recommendations, and if you look in the appendix, you'll see it broken down that there's actually more notably a higher level of merit C recommendations. So that means that when the evidence does rise to a merit recommendation, is that the misconduct is usually a little bit more serious then. And then through this chart, you can see that 4200 and 7400 also have a much higher share of merit findings. And again, I suspect that's because the policy areas in nature are a lot more technical and procedural compared to 5100 and 5300, which are more behavioral based and then require a more situational and subjective analysis of the conduct. All right, so in contrast to the high volume allegation chapters, we also have a couple of chapters associated entirely with no merit recommendations. I just wanted to pull these to your attention as well. So while the number of allegations in these chapters were small, the uniformity of no merit recommendations, I think, does warrant perhaps maybe a second additional review into these policies. And the chapters listed on this slide are just a few of the chapters with no merit recommendations. Again, encourage everyone to read the report, to read through the appendix to see the other chapters as well. And then we had other notable trends. So we had concentrations of allegations in 7300 specific calls, procedures, and 9200 stop, searches, seizures, and warrants. So in 7300 we had 12 allegations, and 9 of those 12 were actually specific to 7314 domestic abuse. Of those allegations, 5 resulted in no merit recommendations, alongside 1 merit A and 3 merit B recommendations. Domestic abuse response remains a scrutinized area of MPD operations. And so given the visibility and the pattern of these allegations, this section may warrant like ongoing monitoring and assessing whether additional training or policy review is needed then. The other chapter is 9200, and all of those allegations fell under 9201, which is stops, contacts, and weapons pat down. Here we have 5 of the 8 allegations had recommendations of merit, and then 3 of the 8 had recommendations of no merit. And although the sample size is small, I do want to just point the relatively higher proportion of merit recommendations among these few allegations, which may suggest potential compliance risk in this policy area. Again, warranting further review. All right, so just to go over what I've just shared, is of the 271 allegations, 52.77% were recommended to have merit. So that's merit A through D. 37.27% of these allegations recommended discipline. And then 60.89% of these allegations were recommended no discipline. And no discipline, again, is a combination of no merit and merit A. So a couple of takeaways for the report. Allegations do cluster in high contact, high risk areas like conduct, equipment use, use of force, and vehicle operations. The procedural and technical chapters are more likely to have recommendations of merit and discipline, whereas the behavior-based chapters show a much more mixed outcome. And then the third takeaway is that chapters with only no merit recommendations should be monitored or further reviewed then. All right, and this is my last pitch to you all, is please read the report and familiarize yourself with the appendix and bring your ideas to the body, whether that's at the committee level or to the full body at our next meeting. The report is meant to guide you and inform your decision making. So like I mentioned earlier, policy and research will be providing follow-up research on the trends that we've seen here, and then also into other factions of the review panel process. Okay. Great.
Thank you very much. Any questions?
You can also discuss amongst yourself. It doesn't have to be questions directed at me.
Just thank you for a wonderful
Yeah.
breakdown of all of the information. I think this has been my favorite part of all the information in terms of breakdowns, because it's so easy to see, and then the public can see where the issues are in
Yeah.
terms of policy violations. Does anyone, no questions?
How about just like reactions, like thoughts, what's coming up for people?
I see Commissioner Kennedy and Commissioner Bartz.
So the only reason I was reluctant to say anything is I was lucky enough to have the first run through this report at the committee meeting a couple weeks ago. I think it's safe to say there was a lot of compliments at that meeting as well about the usefulness of the report. So I will just say thank you to you and your team. I think we can continue to build on this. I think, if we can all, report back what we think was most helpful or flag ideas for additional analysis, it would be very helpful to the OPCR team in continuing to get us this data. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Bartz.
Just to echo the thanks and say I'm looking forward to continuing discussions in terms of refining what we're looking at and what we need. So thanks.
Thank you. All right, seeing no other hands up, I'll ask the clerk to receive and file that report. We will be approving our 2026 meeting dates for January and February. This should be quick, so we'll allocate 5 minutes for this item. We have two dates, January 12th and February 9th are the two dates for the CCPO calendar. And then we have Police Policy Research and Recommendations Committee is proposing meeting dates on Monday, January 26th at 6 p.m. and Monday, February 23rd at 6 p.m. Are there any comments or thoughts from commissioners? Do those dates work? Everyone good with those dates? Okay, all right. Would you like to make the motion, Commissioner Shanfield, for your police policy and research dates? Yes.
Yes, I would like to make a motion for PPRR to meet on 1/26 and 2/23.
All right, is there a second to that motion? Second. All right, it's been motioned and seconded. Any further discussion? All right, clerk, if you can call the roll for PPRR meeting dates.
Commissioner McElhenney.
Aye.
Shanfield.
Aye.
Stewart.
Aye.
Kennedy.
Aye.
Bartz.
Aye.
Smith.
Aye.
Vice Chair Olson.
Aye.
And Chair Reeves.
Yes.
There are 8 ayes.
Thank you. The ayes have it, and that's been approved. The Community Engagement Committee has not had a chance to meet, so we are proposing two dates for both January and February that we can choose from. We're proposing either Tuesday, January 20th or Tuesday, January 27th. Is there any discussion from commissioners? And I imagine Commissioner Stewart may want to weigh in on that, the new chair.
Tuesday, January 20th works.
Okay.
It sticks with our same schedule.
Okay. All right. Any other discussion on this, the CE group? All right, Commissioner Stewart, would you like to make the motion to accept for that date of January 20th?
Sure. I motion for our next meeting to be Tuesday, January 20th.
Okay. All right. Is there a second? Second. All right.
Second, Smith.
All right. Is motion seconded for January 20th for that meeting? And then we have one, actually, we'll do them both together. So then we have February 17th or February 24th?
Let's stick with that same routine, so it would be February 17th.
Okay. All right. So let's revise the motion. I'm sorry, Madam Secretary. So we'll revise the motion to do January 20th and February 17th. We'll do them together. Is same second in motioner?
Yes.
Okay, sounds good. All right. So clerk, if you can call the roll on January 20th and February 17th for the next dates for CE.
Commissioner McElhenney.
Aye.
Shanfield.
Aye.
Stewart.
Aye.
Kennedy.
Aye.
Bartz.
Aye.
Smith.
Aye.
Vice Chair Olson.
Aye.
And Chair Reeves.
Yes.
There are 8 ayes.
All right, thank you. So we now have dates for community engagement. Commissioner Smith is introducing a resolution for review panel research. Each commissioner should have a copy in front of them to review. Commissioner Smith, would you like to speak on this item?
Madam Chair, members, I think we've discussed this a couple of times. I'm grateful to have the help and support from Ms. Zhang as well as our City Attorney's Office, Ms. Polini. This builds on the research report we just received and expands on it in several ways. It grows out of the sense that the community and the public don't have a strong sense of what this disciplinary panel process is about, and we want to share the information that we can share, including our analysis of it with the staff and policy work, and survey panel members so that we can collect meaningful data from all the participants in this process, both sworn and civilian. So this resolution begins by citing our authority in the city ordinance to request programs of research and study like this and to make recommendations. It builds on the experience that we have serving as panel members. It identifies that the Community Engagement Committee has sensed a desire for the community to be provided a better understanding of the review panel process, and that further information about the process could serve to build greater community understanding and trust in that process. It also would benefit all of us participating in this process to learn from it. And did I exceed my time?
Commissioners, would someone like to make a motion to extend time for this discussion?
Can we extend the time by 2 minutes?
Is there a second?
Okay, by 5 minutes?
Is there a second?
Second.
Let's do a voice vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Commissioner Smith.
So, what this proposes is a program of research and study, first on more data analysis, expanding on what Ms. Zhang just presented with a further scope and identified areas. Then the creation and administration of a survey to all participants in the panel process, and the building of a summary report to the full commission with all of that information. It includes a timeline where a draft survey and research plan would be presented to our committees in January, that the chair of the PPRR committee be designated as a liaison to this process with the Civil Rights Department, that the survey be implemented in January or February, and a draft report presented to CCPO by March 31st. I know that's an ambitious schedule, but I'm told it's reasonable.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Is there any discussion on this resolution?
I think this allows for both the Civil Rights Commission and our commission to come together to do work. And I know that that has been an ask from multiple commissioners on our Oversight Committee, and then it's been an ask from the Civil Rights. So I think that this gives us an opportunity to vet, to see if we can come together to bring something that's meaningful to the community.
All right, thank you. Any further discussion? All right, Commissioner Smith, would you like to make a motion for the resolution?
Madam Chair, I'd move adoption of the resolution recommending a program of research and study to assess 2 years of review panels.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right. Madam Clerk, if you can call the roll.
Commissioner McElhenney,
Aye.
Shanfield,
Aye.
Stewart,
Aye.
Canada,
Aye.
Bartz,
Aye.
Smith,
Aye.
Vice Chair Olson,
Aye.
and Chair Reeves.
Yes.
There are 8 ayes.
All right, the ayes have it, and the resolution has been adopted. We'll send that on. Commissioner Baker is introducing a resolution to request for a policy on sexual misconduct. In his absence, Commissioner Shanfield would like to speak on this item.
Yes, I have explicit direction to go ahead. This is something that we've been interested in for several months, and so we didn't want to hold it up, just although he was unable to be here. So we're all aware, we're all here because the Minneapolis Police Department has a documented history of patterns and practices related to an abuse of power or authority resulting in the violation of members of the public civil rights as outlined in the U.S. DOJ report. So as we were thinking about how we could bring civilian voice to the process here, what we learned from OPCR was that the MPD manual does not currently contain a comprehensive policy that responds to sexual misconduct. There are several piecemeal places and a few different policies, but it doesn't have its own policy. And ambiguity around what clearly constitutes sexual misconduct could lead to gaps in accountability and an opportunity for, abusive policy and authority. So we believe that the creation of a dedicated sexual misconduct policy could prevent misconduct and would further build trust with the public and serve as an accountability mechanism to increase transparency. I would like to note that I think one of our very, very first meetings in 2023, we had 2 representatives come from the Global Rights for Women presentation. They talked about domestic violence. We saw the merit is frequently recommended in the panel data. And so this feels like sort of on the heels, related, not exactly connected, but related here, that we're really trying to make sure that people feel safe. And those are lots of cases. Lots of people have come to our meetings explaining individual cases where this has been important. So we would recommend, then in September 2025, OPCR came to PPRR, and shared the report that they did, the very extensive draft. And then that was shared with all of us last month. And so the idea from PPRR was, let's go ahead and put a resolution on the books that says that we are here in support of developing a policy, and that we would, of course, stand to support the implementation unit, support their work, collaborate, draft whatever they need support with, but that this could be a connected effort or collaborative effort. One other quick note is that we would recommend that the policy be drafted in alignment with the sample policies OPCR provided. I think Chicago and Metro Nashville were the examples. There were also guidance from the International Association of Chiefs of Police and Law Enforcement Policy Center. So there's precedent, and there's lots of good examples out there. So, yeah, we look forward to supporting that work, and this resolution says all of those things.
Okay, thank you very much.
I'd like to,
Any discussion? All right, seeing none, Commissioner Shanfield would like to introduce a motion? For the resolution.
Yes, so I would offer a motion to pass this resolution stating that asking MPD to create a comprehensive policy on sexual misconduct.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
All right, the motion is seconded. Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner McElhenney.
Aye.
Shanfield.
Aye.
Stewart.
Aye.
Kennedy.
Aye.
Bartz.
Aye.
Smith.
Aye.
Vice Chair Olson.
Aye.
And Chair Reeves.
Yes.
There are 8 ayes.
All right, the ayes have it, and the resolution requesting for a policy on sexual misconduct has been adopted. With that, we've completed all items on our agenda for this meeting. Without any objection, the commission stands adjourned. Have a good evening, everyone.